retrospective this day in wrestling history on this day. And some interesting stuff for sure on this day in wrestling. Not a very extensive list, similar to last week, but there was some good real things this week, or this day in wrestling to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about a couple birthdays on this day in wrestling. Savio Vega was born in 1966 on this day. And in 1981, Wade Barrett was born into the world and started his journey in the world of wrestling. 1977 is where we kick off this week of Retrospective with a very significant first match from a very significant wrestling personality. In Fort Myers, Florida, Eddie Graham booked Hulk Hogan's first match in wrestling. His opponent from the Killer Bees, V. Brian Blair. In 1977, Hulk Hogan's first match, which I believe he did win. Let's go all the way then to 1992 in Tokyo, Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Big Van Vader got the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship for the second time, defeating Rick Choshu and holding that title in this reign for a whopping 374 days. Very, very impressive for sure. Then we move ahead to 1996. WCW presented Hog Wild for the first time. If you recall, it's changed to Road Wild for some reason after this first initial one that was called Hog Wild from the same place, Sturgis. This was the pay-per-view that the NWO really took shape. Following Bash at the Beach in July, this was the next pay-per-view, and the Giant, Paul White, Big Show wrestled Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Hollywood Hulk Hogan, of course, beat the Giant, spray-painted NWO. The gold belt, and the rest is history. Also, the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall defeated Sting and Lex Luger in another main event match. The Harlem Heat beat the Steiner Brothers for the tag titles, and Ric Flair went over Eddie Guerrero for the U.S. title as well on this pay-per-view. 2008 saw TNA present, I believe they said it was in that right town. I think it was Hard Justice. Hard Justice 2008. Just took me a second there. Samoa Joe defeated Booker T in a weapons cage match for the TNA Championship. I don't remember this at all. This must have been a time in TNA that I just blanked out on. Also, Jeff Jarrett returned to TNA on this pay-per-view after being gone for about a year, roughly. I think this was around the time that the company found out that Jarrett was with Kurt Angle's wife, or Kurt Angle's ex-wife, and they were keeping it a secret and all this kind of stuff. I think that was why he left for a while at this point. Then in 2019, this was NXT TakeOver Toronto, and litany of good matches here. Adam Cole went over Johnny Gargano 2 out of 3 falls to retain the NXT Championship. Shayna Baszler went over Mia Yim to retain the women's title. Velveteen Dream went over Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong for the North American Championship, retaining, and then once again retaining the tag titles of NXT. The Street Profits going over Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, or also the Undisputed Era, you might want to call him that as well. And that pretty much covers it. This may have actually been shorter than even last week's list for Retrospective, but a significant amount of events in history. This was Hulk Hogan's first match on this day. Like I said, Big Van Vader's second IWGP World Heavyweight Championship reign started on this day. And we got Hog Wild from WCW on this day. TNA had Hard Justice 2008. That was from, I believe, I can't remember where they said it exactly, so I'm not going to bother on that one, but then we had NXT TakeOver Toronto 2019 on this day as well. All right, stay tuned tomorrow, bringing back versus Ring of Honor versus Impact sometime Friday. maybe possibly into Saturday. Then we're going to have finally rolling back some news to cover as part of laying the rant down. It was a few times the last few weeks, right? I was hoping to get time to do one. I should have time this weekend. Nothing going on this weekend, so looking forward to that. And then there's some stuff going on this weekend we're going to talk about in some mega rants. Triple Mania Mexico City is this weekend. We're going to talk about that later in the weekend, as well as the G1 Climax semifinals and finals Saturday and Sunday from Tokyo. I believe it's Sumo Hall. Oh, brother, we got a lot to talk about coming up this weekend. So stay tuned. More rants to come. Back in the saddle again from the Wrestling Rants Control Center. Here all the way until the end of the month, where I roll back to Chicago for Dynamite Collision All Out, as well as a few indie shows. AEW will be having a no-rope barbed wire match, and also the GCW event that is coming up in Chicago around that same weekend will be at that one as well. All right, see you back here tomorrow and this weekend. The Summer Wrestling Rants, baby!